This is week 2 of the Legacy Premier League. My name is Anurag Das, and I'm here with Vincent Chandler. Today we're going to be watching some amazing players play some really, really fun decks. Vince, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic, thank you. I'm here to watch some top-level Legacy, so things could not be better.
Yes, I am excited. So just to recap from the last week. Last week we had 4 players in the booth. We had yourself, right, playing Mono Black Stompy.
Pack Rat Stompy.
We had Andrea Mengucci playing Goblins. Noah Walker on Grixis Delver without Deathrite Shaman, and then I think Rudy Brixa on Agrolome. So what were the results of that? I remember Rudy 2-0'd. But I didn't catch the last match.
Yes, Rudy broke it out of the gate. He was not the favourite for the group because he didn't do too well in the initial polls, but he absolutely smashed it and went 2-0. And then our second winner was Wilson. Wilson? Yeah, Jacob Wilson. Yeah,
no. I think it was Noah Walker and Andrea Mengucci.
Sorry, I'm getting confused with names and stuff this week. Noah Walker smashed it with what I was calling Canadian Courier because he's playing Bomberman Courier to great effect. And he came out as the second winner, and then Mengucci got knocked out and joined me in the losers bracket after smashing me round 1. So he had a good start, but not so hot a finish against the Bomberman Carrier Double Days play, which was insane.
Wait, what do you mean?
So there's a point where Noah managed to have 2 Bomberman Couriers in play and was gaining advantage and getting to the point where he's turning a corner where the Goblins deck couldn't really get back into it. And Mengucci had, I believe it was a Ringleader and a Siege Gang Commander in hand, 2 cards that could refill the board or his hand to get back in the game. He cast the first Ringleader on a turn with no cabin, so it could be countered. Noah cracks a fetch, looks at his deck, and then obviously does the maths and figures out there's dazes under one of these Bomat Carriers. So he cracks a Bomat Carrier and dazes the spell, and Julian in commentary is like, oh, that's pretty good, 50-50 chance. Next turn, Mengucci slams the Siege Gang Commander, and Noah does it again. He cracks the other Bomat Carrier and dazes that, like on curve. It was beautiful. That was some technical play with Bomat Carrier.
That is some filthy magic. But he's Noah Walker. He's like the greatest Delver player of all time.
Exactly. He's actually calling him Wilson for some bizarre reason. I'm so sorry. I made a highlight video of it as well. No, I'm so sorry if you're watching this and I'm making a train wreck of your name, buddy.
But yeah, so I think that means that, and we'll get a visual diagram of this later, but it looks like that Rudy and Noah will be in the winners bracket for the post group stage games, and then yourself and Andrea will be in the losers bracket. But the good news is that everyone gets to bring in a new deck, so who knows what these guys will be playing moving forward. Speaking of which, I think our players might be ready soon. Mike, let me know if they are. All right, so I'm looking at. Oh my God. Okay, so this is Bomberman, Mono White Bomberman. Holy crap, this is insane. So, are you familiar with the Bomberman strategy, Vincent?
I am indeed, yeah. The recursion of baubles and 0-mana artifacts to value and smash your opponent to pieces.
Perfect, yeah. So, the way this deck works basically is you get Auriok Salvagers. There's 3 and a white, and Auriok Salvager says pay 1 and a white to return an artifact. Does it cost like 1 or less? Or maybe it's 0. I don't know.
I think it's 1 or less.
Okay, and you can pay 2 mana to bring it back to your hand. And so you can see there's an infinite loop here with LED where you sack LED, generate 3 mana, and then bring back the LED with the salvagers. And then once you have infinite mana, you can buy back either like a Pyrite Spellbomb or what is more recent / new tech in Walking Ballista.
Yeah, so Ballista's an interesting card because I was talking about this recently, how Ballista sort of it honed a lot of combo decks across multiple formats. So KCI no longer needs Banefire, Food Chain in Legacy no longer needs to cast Emeralds or Tyrants. Instead now, much like you can see in Bomberman, they just cast a Walking Ballista because it's a colourless bomb that all these decks can play in place of the big combo finishes. So, Walking Ballista's kind of homogenized combo decks a little bit, which is frustrating, but the card's very, very good. Even when you're not comboing off, where Banefire might have been terrible in the early turns, Walking Ballista can still put you ahead against Goblins, Death Taxes, or Mana Dorks against Elves, for example. Yeah, Walking Ballista's a bit obnoxious.
And I think, so Caleb is a mad scientist, but one last thing I want to point out is that he's main decking 4 copies of Karn.
Oh, yes.
So let's take a look at the Brainstorm host show, Wilson Hunter, his Grixis control deck list. And I know he posted about this a couple of weeks ago on the Brainstorm show. And you know what? This is a deck that even I am like, I'm not terribly familiar with. He's definitely going to be much more of a master with this deck than I am. He's more aware of all the sub games. But essentially what this is your typical Baleful Strix, Snapcaster Mage, value, 1-for-1 deck sort of that curves out with Kolagon's Command and I think a couple copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Well, Gurmag Anger does technically cost more than 3 mana.
All right, that's fair. But it looks like he's got a lot of main deck value. So I'm looking at Snapcaster Mage, Baleful Strix, Kolagon's Command. Those are the primary cards that will just let him pull ahead in the mid game.
What we might eventually see is that obviously Kolagon's Command seems like a very good matchup against the Bomberman deck because it destroys a lot of the utility artifacts that Caleb might want to play early to try and get into the game. And then Kolagon's Command plus Snapcaster Mage, like you said, is such a valuable engine. Normally, the point that I feel like I've lost in Legacy against the blue, red, black mid-range and control decks is when they start cycling Snapcasters and Kolagon's Commands. It's kind of like when you see a J start ticking up, you kind of know the game's over.
Right, yeah. So let's see if these Kolagon's Commands can match up well against the artifacts in Caleb's deck. Just before we get started, who do you think is going to win Game 1? Do you make your money on Wilson, or are you looking at Caleb?
So I would like to see Bomberman do the work, because Bomberman is such a sick deck, but I'm a bit scared that Wilson's double Thoughtseize, double Inquisition setups with Spell Pierces. There's a lot of permission and hand disruption to fight through here, so I'm not sure if Caleb will take Game 1 against that nonsense.
And we're looking at the stats. Twitter seems to think that Caleb is going to be the fan favorite. Well, he's the fan favorite for this pod. But I'm gonna low key say that Caleb might win Game 1, but Wilson will take the match.
I'm interested to find out if his spiciest deck tonight. That's the interesting thing, right? Is Bomberman the spiciest we'll see? Or is there more spice to come in the later rounds?
Only time will tell.
I think we're looking at some opening hands now. I think that's what we're going to.
Perfect. So we'll figure out who is on the play shortly. But it looks like. Ooh, so Caleb's got a very interesting hand. Is this turn 1 Chalice with a Void, followed by? Can we get a turn 2 Mentor with this hand?
I'm just trying to actually make the hand a bit bigger from my screen because I'm trying to keep an eye on chat as well. But don't worry, chat, we're not forgetting about you. We'll talk to you soon. So he's got double Opal, Mishra's Bauble to enable it, and making Chalice. He can cast Monstrous Mentor on turn 1. He can he can't. Yeah, he can Auric Salvages on turn 1 if he wanted to. So he can do anything he wants with his hand.
Okay. And so that's actually a really interesting point, that Monastery Mentor is a phenomenal backup plan for this Bomberman deck, because you have so many 0-mana artifacts, so some of them that replenish, you crack Mishra's Bauble, you get to draw another card to replace the Bauble, and you get a 1/1 token.
That's the thing. I don't think you want to slam out a Mentor by enabling it with Mox Opals and Mishra's Baubles, because you aren't getting any value off of it, right? So if he plays Chalice on 0 here, Mox Opal and Bauble first, obviously, a Chalice on 0, that's rubbish. He goes Chalice on 1 to protect his combo. Is that where we're going with this? That's what
looks like it. Chalice of the Void is a powerful magic card. And we also noticed, just real quick, that Wilson did mulligan the hand of Baleful Strix, Counterspell 5 lands. Mulling to 6, I'm going to guess he scried that Volcanic Island to the top, and that was a good draw because of the Chalice of the Void shutting down the Brainstorm is pretty big game.
I mean, his hand got considerably worse when that Chalice resolved. I mean, Brainstorm isn't a very good magic card against turn 1 Chalice for 1. But, and again, as well, the other thing about Chalice on 1 is that I guess Wilson can slam spells into it to get Gurmag out earlier. That might be something he has to do, is just slam no-value spells into it to get a threat on the board.
Right. And we're going to see the power of this Bomberman deck slamming, I guess. Yeah, this turn 2 Monastery Mentor is just going to hit the board. And that's a clock. I mean, Wilson does have the Kolagon's Command to get rid of the Chalice of the Void, but right now, I mean, if this Monastery Mentor goes unchecked, the Grixis deck is typically not, it's not really well prepared to handle like a wrath of 1/1 monks that just get thick and fat.
Well, from the looks of things, it looks like Wilson might be doing very little for quite a while. Well, for at least till turn 3 to get rid of the Chalice. At that point, he can start playing Magic, but perhaps that'll be too late when there's 15 monks in play.
And you know what? I think he's on the same plan that you are. He's going to start throwing spells into the Chalice of the Void. Paper is a lot more merciful when it comes to Chalice of the Void. I've had
Chalice testing in competitive Magic. Are you happy with that? If people start doing that?
There are a number of times where like I'm playing Magic online and I actually just get frustrated because I can't even like bluff that or make my opponent forget. Sometimes in paper, it's cool to just, be like, all right, I'm dead on board, but brainstorm, and sometimes those Determinus on top of my deck.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I like those parts of Magic. I liked it when I don't know how the competitive rules work now because I hardly play Paper Magic anymore. But I remember when people get frustrated when I was casting spells into Young Pyromancers, and people would forget to trigger the Young Pyros. I think that's part of the skill testing part of playing Paper Magic is remembering the triggers. We've got our first of the titular Bomberman entering the battlefield here, who can next turn bring back the opal that he's lost and start cycling opals and Mishra's baubles and such.
Yeah, this is extremely filthy. I mean, even though the Auric Salvagers isn't like killing Wilson this turn exactly, I mean, there's value, right? You just keep buying back your 0 mana cantrips or slow trips, and then hopefully you get there. I mean, right now, drawing these 1 mana spells is not what Wilson needs here. All right, he's going to go ahead and concede.
We've got an early concession. Okay, so I was way out on my prediction of the Disruption and Permission actually having a good play game 1 because I hadn't really considered just a Chalice on 1 on turn 1 to be so backbreaking. So that was really, really brutal.
Right. So
I guess Chalice with no follow-up would have been quite weak, but the Monastery Mentor just sealed the deal.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the Mentor itself would have gone completely uncontested in that game 1. But yeah, let's take a look at some of the sideboards. So let's start with Caleb, who just won game 1. In his sideboard, do you see anything in particular that you would like in this matchup?
It's hard to say really because they don't have deck lists at the moment, so he's not quite sure what his opponent's on. The whole problem with winning game 1 with a Chalice on 1 is that you kind of don't really understand what your opponent's trying to do. So what spells did he actually see Wilson cast there? Like nothing?
I think maybe just the one Thoughtseize, and then he saw the Underground Sea and the Volcanic Island, right? So
I guess I'd perhaps consider Plowshares, but you just don't know at this point really what he's on. Tormod's Crypts are probably a safe bet as well if he's against some sort of Gurmag or a Delve plan of some description. Snapcaster Mage is going to show up in a Grixis mid-range deck of some list, right? So Crypts and Plowshares, I guess, but it's difficult because he just doesn't know what his opponent's doing.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure right now where Caleb is on the, like, I don't see him boarding anything in, or maybe I'm just lagging a little bit, but if he could also just, not board and say, hey, I don't know what you're really playing.
Looks like he's trimming a Khan for a Canonist, which is probably the hedge against Snapcaster Mage, I'd imagine, that we just talked about. He probably values Canonist over Crypt, because Canonist can get into the red zone.
Mm-hmm. Yep, makes sense. And then one copy of Swords to Plowshares. Okay. So yeah, Caleb is definitely putting Wilson on, the Brainstorm Show Grixis Delver or Grixis control list with Gurmags and Snapcasters. And on the other hand, we have Wilson, who has boarded in what seems like just a lot of hate cards with Monastery Mentor.
I guess as Jarvis points out in the chat as well, it's a good point that if all he's seen is a Thoughtseize, there's a good chance he could just think he's on Storm. I mean, Storm can play Thoughtseize in the Duress slot, can't it? So there's a good chance that that's what the Canonist is for, one minor hedge. But I mean, the deck has no deck manipulation whatsoever, so the one-off Canonist feels a bit weird. There's no tutors in the Curb's deck, is there, at all? Just double-checking. No, there's no way. There's no random recruiters. Of course.
All right, so real quick, looking at Wilson's side, we see he's bringing in one copy of Toxic Deluge, 1 Explosives, 1 Engineered Plague. These are the answers to Monastery Mentor, or at least to slow the storm. Engineered Explosives is also good against all the 0 mana artifacts that Caleb plays, and then we also saw 2 Vendilion Clicks and 2 Blood Moons. So we see that Wilson might be on like an anti-combo / cheese plan to turn off all the non-basics in Caleb's deck.
That's interesting that he didn't bring in the Surgicals then, because Surgicals is one of those cards that people overboard all the time and play in. Like, I know people bring in Surgicals against everything, because obviously technically Surgical is kind of good if you can get rid of like bombs or removal once they've fired off the first copy. But I guess against the Bombman combo, if he hasn't assembled the combo fully, Surgically extracting the first Lion's Eye Diamond in the graveyard seems pretty strong. So I'm surprised that didn't come in.
Right. So let's take a look at these opening hands here. I'm going to guess that Wilson is keeping his 7 here, playing Scalding Tarn. He's got some cantrips to find lands, and then it also looks like Caleb is also happy with his hand. His hand is a little bit on the slower side, but in these post-board games, the games are naturally going to slow down anyways, so it's okay to keep something like that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't want to judge Wilson too harshly here, but the triple ponder hand against a possible turn 1 Chalice to the Void feels like it might be a risky keep.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he's lucky because I don't think we're going to see it. But a turn 1 Chalice could have shut this hand down hard, and we could have seen an early concession again. which would be a shame because I want to see some actual Magic play. That's a problem with Chalice. I love a bit of Chalice, but it doesn't allow for a lot of Magic to get played, does it?
Well, I mean, they always say that Magic is like the fun is zero sum in Magic, right? One person is having all the fun, and the other person is just like, get me out of here, like.
But that's the thing with Legacy. I find that the matches tend to be super interactive thanks to the Blues' dominance. But sometimes you just have Chalices or Red Black Reanimator says, you know what, I'm just going to have the nut hand. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm at a loss. What is this green enchantment? Green arted artifact there. I don't think I've seen that art before.
Is this Horizon? Are you talking about Horizon Canopy?
No. The artifact between Mishra's Bauble and Mox Opal. What is that? Is that a weird petal?
Oh no, it's Urza's Bauble.
Oh, Urza's Bauble. Okay.
Yeah. So this is how the Bomberman, like this newer version of the Bomberman deck works. Yeah. More 0-mana artifacts, more cyclers, and the turn 1 Either Sworn Canonist. Now this is really interesting though, because Wilson could Lightning Bolt the Canonist. I mean, he's not really under any pressure, so I don't expect him to do it. But if he does, that will give Caleb an opening to resolve his own Monastery Mentor.
That is interesting that all Either Sworn Canonist is going to do here is probably draw some removal at some point. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're getting to the point where Wilson's going to have a bolt up for a threat and a counter spell for a big haymaker like a Bomberman or a Mentor. If he casts Mentor here though, it's just going to eat a counter spell, right?
He actually can.
Oh, Cavern, of course.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, he's in a very good spot then.
Right. So now Wilson's fingers are crossed. He's going to hope that this Mentor doesn't get big. All right, we're in the end step now. So yeah, Lightning Bolt is going to kill this Mentor.
Go for the bolt here where he has minimal mana. I mean, how many 0-mana spells could he really have in hand that are instant speed? There really isn't that many.
One thing that is interesting though, with Cavern of Souls in play. And 4 toughness on the Auriok Salvagers, I don't actually know. I mean, is Fatal Push the only way that Wilson can get rid of this on-board resolved Auriok Salvagers?
He's buying a Bolt and a Colligan's Command, but that I can tell you something that's not going to feel very good when he has to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a Diabolic Edict, but that means he has to deal with the Canonist first.
Right. And so this Engineered Explosives is a pretty good pickup. On site, you look at it and you're like, wow, he can get 3 cards, but you got to remember that the Urza's Baubles can always cash in for cards, if Wilson does actually crack the explosives aggressively.
Of course, yeah. So Wilson's thinking long and hard about his lines here.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know how to turn it off.
You click into Skype and just click the little camera button.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
That's it.
Sweet.
So are you casting E for 0 here and following up with a Gurmag as well? Or are you casting E and keeping Permission up? I mean, Catspell seems good here, right? Like, he's already took care of the Mentor, so he's in quite a good position with very little threat, very little pressure, should I say.
Okay, yeah, so that's... Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I think Wilson's priority here is to find a way to get that Gurmag down as fast as possible and to give Caleb as few draw steps as possible. But then it's like a delicate balance, right? Because you want to hold up the counterspell, but you also want to slam this Gurmag Angler. I mean, like, he could actually just die next turn if... I mean, he doesn't... Like, if Caleb draws into, like, the right card or two off these baubles.
So he's making an E on... I believe 1. The screen is very small. I think it's double blue he just put into it there.
Oh, no. I think he's actually just casting it and activating it on the spot. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, some lag on my screen now. I was confused as to why there was such mana being sent into it. There, okay, he's cashing the baubles, and we've got a situation where we can't quite see hands right now. So we're not sure what those baubles grabbed on his turn.
Okay, it looks like a Ponder and a Bloodstained Mire were both revealed.
I see, okay. So he knows the blue players are playing blue 1-mana cantrips. What a surprise!
Right? Yeah. Is Wilson dead? Ooh, you know what? That's one other way to kill an Auriok Salvagers. Just smash your opponent's face in a couple times, and eventually they have to block, right?
Yeah. I don't see Bomberman enough. It's such a cool deck, and you just don't see it very often. I can't recall the last time I've even played against it.
Yeah. I mean, no, it really is a cool deck, but part of the reason you don't see it online is for the same reason that KCI doesn't get played as much either, is because the loop just takes so long to execute.
Yeah, definitely. I tried playing a bit of Legacy Twin recently, and it was just painful. Absolutely painful.
Like, and heaven forbid you accidentally click like the wrong card and your entire turn just goes to waste.
Here we go. Here's the Gurmag. Gurmag for a couple turns eventually turns into an Abyss, at which point Caleb has to start sticking things in front of it. But at the same time, there's enough 0-mana artifacts in the bin that he's going to be able to grind his way back into this game. We've got an Edict from Wilson here, but no other spell to follow it up. So the canonist is Edict Insurance at this point.
Right. So that's, I mean, I wouldn't be, so now Wilson has to decide if he's going to actually cast this Ponder or if he's going to try and hold up Counterspell. And he's going to elect to hold up Counterspell.
That is interesting, these Ponders, in spite of the fact there's no one counted Chalice, have been rather unexciting this game so far.
Yeah, I know. He's been glad. His mana is really what's bottlenecking him here. And I'm wondering when he's actually going to fire off these Ponders. I mean, right now, he doesn't actually need to fire off the Ponders because I would even say he's ahead on this board state, just because he's moving to close the game. But it would be a shame if he died with those Ponders in his hand.
I was about to ask this question here. Is this what you counterspell so it keeps him off 2 mana per turn? Because now he can't double activate Auric Salvagers and it keeps him in the game. And he went for it. So, I mean, I would have been on about that for a good 5 minutes, begging my chat on stream to tell me what the correct play was. But as we can see, these guys are a bit better at Magic than I definitely am. So, counterspelling the Mind Stone kept him lower on mana. And it means that the Salvagers have to kind of dedicate themselves to finding more mana as opposed to finding more value, as it were. This Thoughts is... Oh, no, it's going for Ponder. So these Ponders are finally being cashed in for some card advantage selection as well.
Right, and I think I like playing the Ponder here over the Thoughtseize just because, Caleb's got 1 card in hand. He's not going to crack the Ursa's Bauble at any point to, make the Thoughtseize super effective right now. I mean, you can't even do that, whatever. So, trying to hit your land drops is the first big thing. We're also looking for like a Lightning Bolt or something like that to kill that Either Storm Canonist so that the Diabolic Edict is actually, sufficient here.
Exactly. But there's also the fact that he could find his Deluge as well, right? His Deluge would be a very good draw here. But then again, there's the follow-up Salvagers. And now we see a Walking Ballista in the hand for Caleb as well. So he's assembling the combo.
Right. So he's 1 card off from actually just ending the game on the spot here. Now, what's interesting is that this Walking Ballista, I wonder if it is going to eventually stop the Gurmag Angler from attacking, right? Because actually, no, it does. Because if Wilson attacks, right, that's a double block, and then the Walking Ballista will, or triple block or whatever, and then the Ballista pings, and then using the second Salvagers, you can always buy back the Ballista. So this is. So
you think we're gonna see a Gurmag Angler stopped by a soldier, a cleric, and a walking machine gun, or he's gonna get in the red zone, one of the two. So. In he comes, crashing in. I guess also the Walking Ballista doesn't have to go infinite. That's the other thing we need to remember. Walking Ballista is just a very, very good Magic card for killing people. Yeah.
And so this Edict is interesting. Maybe Wilson is firing this off. I didn't actually get to see the other 2 cards on the Ponder.
No, I didn't see either.
But, there is Snapcaster Mage. If, the Edict might induce Caleb to sacrifice the Canonist, which would unlock Snapcaster Mages. And then also, this Walking Ballista sort of makes it tricky in terms of racing. So
the Ballista is gone. So I guess cashing in the Ballista against Double Edict makes sense because you can get it back with Auric Salvagers. I think you are right. Wilson definitely wanted that Aether from Canonist dead because at this point he's got 3 1-mana spells in his hand. And he can't cast more than 1 a turn.
Ooh, that is big game right there.
Yeah, K-Command is good here, but at the same time he's going to have to play Ponder or Brainstorm to try and find another land. And at that point, if he doesn't hit another land, he's not going to be able to cast K-Command.
Right.
No, so, he's going to play conservatively and just keep K-Command up.
Right. I mean, this Either Storm Canonist actually seems like it's doing a lot of work here. I mean, not letting Wilson cycle through his cantrips.
There are a lot of 2-mana 2/2s in Magic, especially in the colours of white that do. Oh, there's the Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah. Now is this game? It looks like it might be.
I believe this is game. He has no way to kill it right now. I mean, he could Brainstorm for a Force of Will, but he ain't finding one that he can cast thanks to the Canonist.
Yeah, exactly.
That is game over. Canonist has been an absolute MVP. Even if it was a hedge against Storm or someone else in the chat said a little bit earlier, seeing the Thoughtseize go into the challenge suggests that he probably does have Gurmag, because why would a Storm player be doing that other than maybe to reach threshold for the 2-mana rituals? But yeah, that's game.
All right. And
boys and girls, that game was won by a 2-mana bear, a 2-mana human cleric looking all quizzical with their fingers poised together.
Right. So that was really interesting. You know what? I did think Wilson was going to win. I think post-board there's going to be more interaction from the Grixis control side. But this was interesting. I mean, First of all, I just want to say this Bomberman deck is super sweet, and I definitely am excited to see more of it tonight. I feel like this is one of those gimmicky decks that's just gonna like navigate like left and right and like will sort of like randomly kill you, right? Like out of nowhere.
Well, like you said, it can grind, so sometimes you can set up this grinding match, especially with things like Khan. Khan's probably give it a lot more game, and then out of nowhere combo kills you, which is unfortunate for the deck that's trying to fight on one axis and then struggles to fight on the other. And like we saw, Canonist was bizarrely very good against the deck that wanted to fire off multiple cantrips in a turn.
Right. So now let's see. I mean, I guess there's no concession yet, just yet.
Oh, sorry, I apologise. We had a different screen on our bits. I thought we had a concession, but the combo's going now. So
right.
He's going to make him. He's going to make him play it out, or at least see that the loop is there.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fine. That demonstrating how it works and whatever is okay. This is. I was going to say, Wilson could have surgical. He could have an extra. He could have all sorts of weird stuff in his hand right now that Caleb could stop Caleb. So there might be a point there that Wilson makes sure he's going to go combo because there's a chance that he could stop it, and he has to see if he'll not play into that. If that makes sense, there's lots of counterplay there as well. But yeah, here's the combo, guys. It was good. Also, it's good for everyone at home to see it as well. Right, yeah. And this is also like explaining why he doesn't see too much play online because this is a lot of clicks.
Exactly.
Got to get those StarCraft fingers ready.
On the upside, Walking Ballista has quite literally cut it down by what 30 to 60%. Like originally, was it Pyrite Spellbomb that killing
it was, yeah. Because that is a. That sounds.
So the kids at home that don't know about Pyrite Spellbomb, because it doesn't see that much legacy played, to be honest. It's a 1-mana artifact that has a 1-mana activation to shoot people in the face for 2. So with Bomberman, you have to make not infinite, but enough mana to be able to shoot their face for 2, enough time to kill them, but also enough mana to bring back the Pirate Spellbomb that many times. Walking Ballista just makes it a lot easier because you just get Walking Ballista back and cast it for lethal.
Right. So interestingly enough here, Julian brought up a good point, is that Surgical Extraction does not stop this combo because in response to the Surgical Extraction, Caleb could just activate Auriok Salvagers again.
Oh, of course, because he spent no mana this turn. So although Mind's Eye Diamond could be being cast onto the stack, he still has the mana to bring back the Walking Ballista prior to the Mind's Eye resolving. Is that right?
Yep.
But he couldn't have double surgical because he's a Swan Canonist.
Yeah.
Most of the interaction is definitely shut down by the Canonist.
So this Canonist is just, overperforming. So from here.
So I suppose, really, I can't really think of any outs once the Canonist in play at this point. Like, he literally had to have... Well, even Force didn't get in there, because forcing the Mind's Eye means he just brings it back to the salvages.
Right.
There you go, guys. That's the resilient tech for Bombers, is to play Aether Swan Canonist.
I'm wondering if maybe so Wilson's last hope is that Caleb adds a bunch of mana. So right now Wilson is basically lost, but he might be playing to like the second mode of K command, like in discarding a card, getting some value or something like that. I'm not really sure, but no, that wouldn't matter anyways because with infinite mana you just buy it back. So
I don't agree with some of the chat here that it's scummy. I think we are only 20 minutes into our first round tonight, so it's good to see the combo played out because we're going to see it cast for lethal in a moment. So you've had a couple of minutes for me to talk around interaction that can't happen because of Canonist. So, there's nothing, here we go. Here's the Ballista. So, and the concession for the first game was so long that perhaps, it's good to have some time to talk through what's happening as opposed to just firing off and then we have to talk while Mike fumbles to get the next game ready.
Ooh, that's a good point. K command into Lightning Bolt is lethal, but we're short on mana. I don't actually know. This is really interesting because I kind of I feel bad that Wilson is going to die with this Ponder in his hand, this Brainstorm in his hand. There was a turn where he elected not to cast a Thoughtseize, but I don't know if that would have mattered too much because there was only another Auriok Salvagers.
Again, K command and Bolt doesn't really matter here because he's only on 3 mana and we've got a Canonist in play.
Right. Okay. So now Wilson's going to concede because he I guess his out was Caleb makes a mistake or something like that.
Yeah. Or possibly he wasn't playing to now. He was just playing to let everyone at home see the actual combo go off, right? We need something for the VOD for kids at home to watch to understand what this deck is trying to do. Bomberman isn't exactly the most common deck that you see. Like I said, I can't remember the last time I saw it being played in paper, that's for sure.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Tom Smiley brings up a really good point. So Caleb is at 3 life. There is a land in play And he literally is telling Caleb to tap the canopy because that would bring him down to 2 life, and then Keikoman could shock him per game. Yeah, that's actually that's comically hilarious. I love it.
Again, I mean, you got to play to your outs, right? That's how you get to this level. You got to play to your outs and get every percentage point where you can.
Right. So, I mean, that was exciting. I guess I was wrong in the sense that I expected Wilson to maybe have more game in the post board matches, but it was really tricky. I think his mana, like his stumble, the swamp, sort of like slowed him down a little bit. The canonist also, a combination of things basically. But now I think we might move on to the second match, which is going to be Javier Dominguez and Michael Bonde. Is that right?
Michael soon and foremost, but that would make sense because they're the other 2 players in this group.
All right. Yeah. Now, I did get the benefit of seeing deck lists in advance, and I have to tell you, Javier is playing a very interesting deck.
I'm very excited for this. It's one of my favorite decks of all time against it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And with that cliffhanger, we are going to maybe take a break now while the other players get ready.